Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing part 2 of the chassis mount front splitter. Now, if this is your first time ever seeing one of my videos, this is for my 335xi. It has a big single turbo on it, it's wide body, and hopefully we can get it on the track this summer. What we are doing right now is making a chassis mounted front splitter, and we're going to go to the track, see how that goes, and then we'll add some more aero and develop the process. So if you haven't seen part 1, make sure to go down in the description below and watch that video first. So this is my front splitter that I have made so far. It's made out of wood, got our brace going across here, 2 points in the back. We're gonna have splitter support rods in the front, and we're also gonna add 2 end plates. But for right now, the first thing that we're gonna focus on is carbon fiber skinning this whole entire thing. So this is also made out of wood. I painted it just to make sure it is waterproof. This is paint and then deck sealant over top of it, front on the top and also on the bottom. Now over here we got the things that we're gonna need to do this process. We got the carbon fiber, we got the brushes, we got a nice solo cup, any kind of plastic cup will do. We got Dr. Pepper for drinking. We also got our resin and our hardener for the epoxy. You're going to want some scissors that can cut this as well. So let's get started onto putting this resin onto our front splitter. What we're going to do first is do 1 part hardener and 1 part with the resin, mix it in this cup, and we can spread it across. Guys, got the first coat on. This is what she looks like. So what we're gonna do is wait for 2 hours till this gets pretty darn tacky, and then once she's all nice and tacky, we're gonna go and lay the carbon on top of it.
2 hours later.
Okay, we let this thing sit for about 2 hours. Everything is pretty darn tacky. If you notice, we didn't go too far down through, just because we don't need to cover all that with the carbon, and also the carbon glide isn't really long enough to go all that far. So only where it's gonna see it. Basically all this is just for looks, not really function, but it's okay. Okay, so I got this all laid down, got all wrapped around the bottom here, stuck a few pieces of tape underneath her just to make sure she stays put. But anyways, we'll come back to this about in around 4 hours to 8 hours, and we can start putting on our first coat. Okay guys, so it's been a total of about 8 hours. I went to bed around like 12 and it's around like 9. So this is basically what our front splitter is looking like here. Not very even with the my cuts, but it's okay. No one's gonna see it. All they care about is 5 inches outwards of this, and it's looking decent. I got it all tucked up underneath here. It all seemed to stick overnight, so that is really awesome. So what we're gonna do now is our very first coat of resin over top of this carbon fiber. So let's go mix another 1-to-1 ratio of the resin and the hardener, and then we're gonna coat over top of this with one smooth lighter coat. Make sure we get everything basically just wet, and then we gotta wait another 8 hours. So let's get to it. as you can see, we got all the epoxy over top of this. So what we're gonna do is wait for another 8 hours, let this cure, and then what we're gonna do is start sanding this down. So I'll see you guys back in about 8 hours. Alrighty, so it has been a couple hours. This is all fully cured. As you can see, there's all these little dimples and crap in there. So we're gonna get rid of all of that by sanding it. So it has also, by the way, it's been like a couple hours. It's been like 10 hours. So we're gonna sand this all down and go back at it again after we clean it up. We're gonna use 150 grit sandpaper for the first sanding. Okay, now that all this is all sanded out, and we're going to clean it up with some alcohol. Make sure there's nothing that will get underneath our first coat of epoxy on here after sanding it down. So let's get to cleaning this. You also, when you're sanding down, you kind of want to make sure you don't go too far deep and accidentally hit your carbon, so just keep an eye out for that. And also at this time you can trim off any little things that you have hanging off. Like I have this little guy hanging off of there, so I'm gonna go around on the bottom side of this and trim a little bit off as well. Okay, so now that all this is nice and cleaned up, we're going to do a thin coat of epoxy over top of this, let it set for 2 hours, and then go back and forth with that same process. Epoxy, let it set for 2 hours, epoxy, let it set for 2 hours, and then we can wait another 10 to 14-ish hours to make sure all this is completely nice and dry after that last coat of epoxy, and then we'll do a wet sand over top of that. Alright, so all this has been laying down for about 2.5 hours. I'm gonna go apply our second coat onto her.
2 hours later. Okay,
so this is now 2 hours after we put on that second coat. Now we can put on the third coat. It's actually starting to look a lot better. If you guys can see this all here, it's starting to actually look like something. Obviously there's some high and low spots that we need to go over once we're done. But yeah, let's throw on our third coat. And as you can see, while I'm waiting, I'm over here trying to put our brakes back together on this bike. Make sure to subscribe so you guys can see what's going on with that. But anyways, let's go and get this another coat. Alrighty guys, it has been like a whole entire week since I gave you guys an update because I had to go to work and I work in North Carolina, I live in Virginia. Yeah, it's a lot. Anyways, this is how it cured out to be. You obviously don't have to wait a week until you do your sanding, but I did. Basically you only have to like wait for 8 to 12 hours. Just make sure it's fully cured. See how we have like these little tiny dimples in it? So let's go and try to pull that out with 150 grit sandpaper. Alright, now that this has been completely sanded, we're going to clean it off. Then once we actually decontaminate anything that could possibly be on here, we're going to do one really thin coat of resin. Alrighty guys, this is all nice and solid. We waited overnight for the epoxy to adhere to this and get all nice and like not able to peel. It's dry, okay? Alright, so we're gonna go over with 400 and work up our way to around 800 to 1000 grit sandpaper. We're gonna do wet sanding over top of this whole entire thing. So let's get to it. Alright guys, we got the splinter up here as you can see behind me, so we're going to start mounting this sucker up onto the car and see how good she looks. So now that these two front supports are all bolted up, I can actually throw on this front bumper, and then we'll go in the back and make our little spacers, and then we can throw our bolts in.
I'm a slithery little sneaky snake.
Don't mind my bad wrap job, and the bumper isn't fully mounted, so that's why it's like kind of hanging off and everything. But would you just look at that with the hood? We got the carbon hood up here looking nice with the carbon front splitter, 5 inches across, ready for time attack or whatever series I'm going to be in. I am going to try to do some of the local races by me, not really local, but within a few hours. But yeah, definitely really cool to see this front splitter on here. Alright guys, so it's actually been a little while since I give you guys an update on this. As you can see behind me, I took off all the wrap and everything, the blue wrap that was on the bumper. Like I said, I wanted to redo it. I did think I had enough, but I was actually short by like a foot. So I was like, oh, it's okay, I'll order new stuff and like catch back up on it. This wrap has been out of stock forever. If you guys know where I can find it, it's Gloss Sky Blue by 3M. Yeah, I would love to wrap it, but if I can't find it anytime soon, I really don't want to rock just the black Bear stuff, and also like my Bondo work over here. So yeah, I don't really want to do that. But if I wait a little bit longer and I still can't find it, I might just rewrap the whole car. I always wanted to rewrap the whole car because this was obviously my very first time ever wrapping a car. It actually turned out really good. Like this whole side is actually pretty darn good the whole entire way through. The other side has a little bit of hiccups. It was kind of, I think I did that side first. But anyways, definitely the front bumper I wanted to rewrap. But yeah, I'm kind of liking the flat black with the carbon and stuff on it. Like, let me close the hood. Like, that kind of doesn't look bad. Like, obviously the bumper's not mounted up, so it wouldn't look like this bad with the gap and everything. But like the color, like just imagine all that's blacked out. I don't know, I just think it would kind of look cool. And also don't worry, for the space that's in between here, I'm gonna add a little L that goes across here and kind of like covers up everything, so then the air doesn't end up getting trapped underneath the bumper anywhere, especially like right over here where it has a big old V into it. So yeah, gonna do like a little something to cover that up, and it's just gonna come up to like right about here, just so no air gets under there, like I said. Also, in the next video of this car, I'll put those on, and also canards. We are gonna have some more carbon fiber bits for the front part of the engine bay here. Clean it up a little bit and also make it a little nice. Anyways, that's pretty much what it's gonna do for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching it, and thank you for coming down to the end. If you made it this far, make sure to give it a big old thumbs up, and also make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we got many more things to come. Not only with this car do we have many more things to come, but also with this thing. We got a little something here. It says CTS Turbo. Yeah, so we got some upgrades for this car coming. By the way, this is my wife's 440i if you guys are new to the channel. So yeah, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below.